As for myself, I'm going to have to bust my ass these last few weeks to get back to 500. Last week's question of the week asked the viewers, which QB will throw for the most yards in Week 11? There were 2 people who correctly guessed that Kirk Cousins would have the most yards in Week 11, but what's astounding is that Human Paradox was only off by 5 yards. What an incredible prediction, and that most certainly will land you a featured spot. Another close prediction, although incorrect to the question of the week, was Sean's prediction of Drew Brees' numbers. He guessed 21 of 34 for 313, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Brees' real stat line was 35 for 44, 285, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Very close, further guesstimating by the other half of Team Take'em. For the top 5 teams leading into Week 10, we round off number 5 with a brand new team in the New York Giants. The Giants have quickly won 5 consecutive games in a row and deserve some respect, even with the Cowboys overshadowing their success. At number 4, we will stick with the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders went to Mexico, even though through the crappy conditions, and beat the Texans fashionably. At number 3, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Beating a tough Philly defense solidifies a top 3 ranking. Number 2 goes to the New England Patriots. The Patriots decided to wait until late to put the dagger to the 49ers. And at number 1 is the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys trailed for most of the game on Sunday, but ultimately prevailed against the top 5 defense in the Ravens. This leads us to this week's question of the week. I really like the statistic questions as it narrows down winners and I don't have to be called out for being biased with opinions. So with that being said, this one was sent in by @BillsTheMan88 on Twitter. Which running back will have the most rushing yards in Week 12? Comment your response below and the best comment gets featured in next week's video. Let's get into the games. Our first game we look at is the Minnesota Vikings heading into Ford Field to take on the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have become a staple on Thanksgiving Day, and with their hot hand leading the way last week against the Jaguars, they will look to upset the Vikings again this season. The Vikings are coming off of a tough-fought battle against the Cardinals at home. Who wins this week? I really don't want to go against the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, so I'm going to put my faith in them. I know the Vikings lead the all-time series like 71-37, but I like what Matt Stafford is doing these past few weeks.
All right, I like the Detroit Lions minus 2.5 against the Vikings. Detroit's been on a roll lately. They play a lot better at home, and there's one thing that I've learned is that taking Detroit on Thanksgiving is always a good bet. They always play better no matter what their record is on Thanksgiving, so take Detroit at home minus 2.5 and straight up.
The second game we look at is in the NFC East, a showdown when the Redskins travel to Texas to take on the NFL's best Cowboys. This game single-handedly could shape up to be one of the best games this season, right up there with the Cowboys-Steelers Week 10 bout. The Cowboys just keep finding success in new ways, and the Redskins have found a defense that matches well with their high-powered offense. The Cowboys are favored by 6.5 in this one, and that is just too much to give America's team. Let's take the Redskins to cover the spread, but Dallas winning it straight up.
All right, I like the Washington Redskins plus 6.5 here. I think they're just too good of a team to lose by that many points. I like the Cowboys to win this game straight up at home, though. Both these teams have pretty good offenses. It's going to be a high-scoring game, probably the best game on Thanksgiving, but I just don't think the Cowboys are going to win this by a touchdown or more. I think it's going to be the Cowboys win by about 3 or 4 points. It's going to be a close game throughout. Kirk Cousins is playing very well right now, so take the Washington Redskins plus 6.5, but the Cowboys straight up.
Our third matchup features 2 teams who should be in the AFC playoff contentions, but have played down in the 2016 season when the Pittsburgh Steelers hit the road again to take on the Colts. I'm extremely excited that we do these videos early enough to get some of the early lines, as the Steelers are favored by 2.5. This was before news broke out about Luck being in the concussion protocol, so that line is sure to move. I'm going to lock in the 2.5 and a straight-up win for the Steelers. Even though it's back-to-back road games, I'm sure they can do it without Luck playing for the Colts, as long as he stays in that concussion protocol this week. This game should be our lock of the week.
All right, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers minus 2.5 against the Colts in this one. Andrew Luck might miss this game with a concussion. If that's the case, the Colts defense is in a very tough spot. They're going to have to hold the Steelers' high-powered offense under 20 points, and I just don't see that happening. Pittsburgh is going to score a ton of points in this one, and Scott Tolzien hasn't thrown a meaningful pass in like 3 years or so. So I just don't see how they're going to be able to keep up. The Colts are going to have to throw the ball, so they can't just keep running the ball. They're going to be forced Tolzien to throw because they're going to be down, and Steelers can score points. So I like the Steelers minus 2.5 against the Colts and straight up.
Our last game should be a gimme, although now that I'm saying that, the opposite will probably occur when the Arizona Cardinals fly into the Georgia Dome to take on the Atlanta Falcons. It recently came out that Bruce Arians was hospitalized for chest pain, and this could be a double-edged sword for Arizona. They could play up to the Falcons and play for Arians, or they could just not show up completely as they don't have an experienced head coach. Atlanta will be fully rested and should be getting back Tev Coleman and Desmond Trufant this week, which will be 2 huge keys to winning this game. Arizona is also traveling across the time zones to play a 1 p.m. Eastern game, which does not bode well. Take Atlanta straight up and to cover the 4-point spread.
I like the Atlanta Falcons -3 against the Arizona Cardinals. I think that Matt Ryan and the offense with the bye is going to come back even stronger. I think Tevin Coleman will be back, so they'll be at full strength. The defense is playing fairly well. Arizona's just not the same team as they were last year. So I think Atlanta, coming off the bye at home, will take this one. So take Atlanta -3 and straight up.
I have broken my 4-game losing streak for my upset picks last week when the Saints hung in there by a half point against the spread. This week, I'm planning on taking the team who beat them. No other upset games seem like they can happen this week, and with Carolina heading into Oakland, this could be a real trap game for the Raiders. They are an amazing team, but I smell a trap game all over this one.
I like the Carolina Panthers +4 and straight up as my upset pick here as well. I think that Cam Newton and company are on a roll here. Oakland is also on a roll, but I think playing on Monday night in Mexico might have taken a little bit more out of them, and that they have a little bit of a letdown here. It's not a division or a conference game, and Oakland has just, they've won a lot of games in a row, and I think this is their time to lose. So take the Carolina Panthers +4 and straight up.
And here's the rest of our Week 12 picks. For this week's Shame Report, only one major thing to shame this week, and that was the kickers of Week 11. A total of 12 combined missed PATs, which, by the way, is a new single-week NFL record. This is just unacceptable, but it adds a new dimension to the game when they move the PAT back a few yards. The kicking game has finally been challenged on PATs, and it just totally changes how the teams execute their game plan if one is missed. I'm sure Blair Walsh can relate.
McDermott is the snapper, and the kick is no good!
And I'm also sure he might land a starting job this week after the crap show of kickers that decided to miss 12 different PATs. I also heard Adam Vinatieri had ended his streak of continuously made field goals this week. Just not a good week for kickers all around in Week 11.
Kick with your legs! I can't kick! Yes, you can! I can't kick, you just have to save me!
I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I've finally reached over 2,000 subscribers on here, and for us that help run this channel, we want to thank all of you for getting us there. It was a real accomplishment for the channel and as a whole, and I'm glad it came right before Thanksgiving. Thank you. In the Hatbox Pick'em League, Cameron Cressamore is raking in the wins and is still our sole leader this week. He has an overall record of 104 and 55, and the next closest person to him is 3 games out of first. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your picks before the end of the week. In the Hatbox Survivor Pool, Week 11 has finally gotten another player out. We say goodbye to M. Potvin 1. Good luck to the last 3 people still standing. Out of those still standing, there's only one person who has yet to get a strike against them. Our Week 11 leader, just like every other week apparently, and our overall last man standing is Tennessee Titans. Chose the Indianapolis Colts, who in turn won by 7 points. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your pick by the end of this week. After a positive Week 11, we look to continue our success in Week 12. No one ended up winning last week's giveaways on my Twitter profile, so this week we will recycle the prize of a cold weather beanie of the team of your choosing. I will post a giveaway question before the 1 p.m. games, and every question will have a deadline. Be sure to set notifications on the Hatbox Twitter profile so you do not miss out. You must follow the account, retweet the question, and use the hashtag in your response